I already talked about difficulty, and you guys seem to like it, so let's follow it up, shall we? Hopefully, this will get me more than 20 subscribers. How can you, watching this, get good at video games? A bit of a loaded topic, but let's start simple. What does it even mean to get good? Well, generally speaking, it means that you're effective at completing a certain task. A baseball player is good at batting and running, an accountant is good at crunching numbers, a basketball player is good at bouncing it, and I am really good at getting to the point. But sports examples are actually quite useful here. Would you say LeBron is good at sports, or is he good at basketball? The first statement is incredibly generalized because of just how many sports there are. If I'm amazing at curling, that won't necessarily translate to me being a god at volleyball. However, certain skills an athlete may have, like resistance, strength, and general dexterity, are obviously gonna be helpful when they try to get into another sport. And that's the key here. Let's go back to your reality of pressing buttons on a piece of plastic, and make the same example. You may be amazing at Super Smash Bros., you beat all your friends, and overall you consider pretty skilled. Someone might look at you and say, this person over here is pretty good at games. But then switch to Call of Duty Warzone and you get immediately annihilated. So, are you bad at video games now? Not necessarily. The reason why in this example this person is really good at Smash Bros. Is because they possess three key skills, which are familiarity, confidence, and dexterity. And these are the three fundamental pillars that you're going to want to focus on if you want to stop struggling so much to get good at any game. But don't you worry, I'm not gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna explain to you exactly how to do it. But firstly, let's talk about the sponsor of today. Gotcha. It may sound cliche, but your mentality when starting a new game is very important to your performance in it. Whenever approaching something unfamiliar, it's necessary to be patient and open to new ideas that the game will throw at you. But if we're talking challenging games, there is one idea that you will always have to be ready for, and that is failure. They say failure is the greatest teacher, and that couldn't be more true. There's definitely a caveat here, which is, you need to be willing to learn, you If you're having a hard time against a particular section of a game, ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? And then act accordingly. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing expecting a different result. So if you keep failing at the same thing, you're probably doing something wrong. Let's say you're stuck at a shootout section and every time you try to advance, you keep dying. Try considering your options. You can move to a more advantageous position you didn't consider before, maybe? Do you have any items you're neglecting that can be useful here? Always be on the lookout for a different approach. Adaptability is the key word here. You need to be always open to try different approaches. But it is also important to recognize if you do have a correct approach and your issue is a matter of dexterity. But remember, sports have rules, games have laws. A football player can't pick up a ball because it's against the rules. A FIFA player can't pick up a ball because you can't pick up a ball. It is simply not something possible within the game because it was not added by the developers. You're working under the game's laws, you learn them and you'll improve. So how do we recognize if the problem is the approach or the execution? Let's provide an example. This is Quilag. Say hi. She's one of the two main bosses in the first section of Dark Souls, and I am going to murder her now. But look at this strategy, or lack thereof. I'm just throwing myself against her over and over again, and no surprise she killed me. Now, if I ever do hope to get better, there's a couple of things I can do. Firstly, observe. How does she behave? What can I learn from her animations and behavior? Then I start noticing how she has a startup animation before she attacks. But not only that, every single attack has a giveaway, some wind-up that tells me exactly what she's going to do now, so I can react accordingly, and it gives me the chance to experiment too. Sure, it's intuitive to dodge away from the attack, but then I realized this game has invincibility frames. So what if instead I dodge forward and through the attack? Now I have an advantageous position where she is recovering and won't attack me for a bit, which gives me a window of opportunity to do some damage now that I am right in her face. But uh-oh, this is an explosive attack, so I'm better off backing up and waiting for it to be done. But look at here. While the big spider is vomiting, the woman isn't doing much, and the lava only goes forward, so I can stay on her side and pretty safely do some significant damage. And then I realize, wait a minute, most of her attacks are forward, so if I stick to her side, I can pretty safely and consistently deal damage. And if she telegraphs any attack that might be dangerous for me, now I can react accordingly. It's a specific example, but I'm illustrating here what kind of open mind you should have when facing challenges. Because if I just try to brute force it and assume that I just wasn't skilled enough or the boss was too hard, I could have easily spent hours upon hours hitting my head against the wall, and sure, eventually and through some stroke of luck, I might have been able to beat her, but at that point it's just a matter of time before I find myself in this situation again, and I can't see that being very fun. That was speaking in terms of those skill-based games that have real-time combat and are based on quick decision-making. But that's not the only kind of challenge out there. For example, a lot of games base their challenge off of things like exploration, puzzle solving, or resource management. These are your survival horrors, your Metroidvanias, your civilizations, and whatever other example fits this category. You can make the connection. Yes, these game genres and real-time combat/quick decision-making aren't mutually exclusive, but those aspects tend to have less of a gameplay focus, usually taking a backseat to the more management-based mechanics. Succeeding in these types of games tends to be more of a case of how you prepare yourself for those key moments where you need to put all your resources to good use. In games like these, it's really a case-by-case basis, but I'll give some general advice. Firstly, these are not the kind of games you should be rushing through during your first playthrough. You really need to take your time and look for anything that could be useful to you. In Metroid, that usually translates to looking for your missile upgrades and health tanks. In Resident Evil, it's all about that inventory management and getting the most out of your limited resources. For example, a green herb might return you to full health if you're in yellow, but maybe hold off on using it until you really need it, because if you manage to find that red herb to combine it with, you suddenly get a healing item that will always restore you to full health. Same applies for ammunition. Since supplies are low, be very careful about choosing when and how to engage enemies. Sure, it might be safer to not have a zombie in this room, but it's gonna take you 10 bullets to kill him, and you can easily circle around him with that much hassle, then you're better off saving that ammo for a bigger threat. On a similar note, if an enemy is really giving you trouble and you will definitely take damage by getting close to them, you might be better off killing it then and there to avoid potentially needing to spend one of your precious healing items. It's not about being stingy, it's about using the right tool for the right situation. And in both Resident Evil and Metroid, there will be times where you need to face a boss. If they're giving you a lot of trouble, you can just go back and do a bit of exploring. Maybe find some more tools or upgrades that can give you a better shot at the fight. Minimizing frustration is also very important when approaching challenge, and whilst some games make it difficult, you can do some things to try and minimize frustration. Firstly, and this is something I mentioned in my Silksong video, you need to be okay with failure. Stop caring about sucking. Show me someone who's never failed and I'll show you someone who's never done anything. When you get started at anything, you're bound to be pretty bad at it, and it's part of the journey. If you pick up a guitar without ever playing before and you get frustrated because you can't play Freebird, you're approaching things wrong. But also, learning requires intentionality. I could fiddle with a guitar for 10 years, but if I don't take a class, I will never be able to play it. And this goes back to my previous point about being open and observing. Frustration is greatly diminished when you're making progress. Sure, you may be dying 50 times at the same boss, but it is still rewarding to see how, even if you haven't beaten it yet, you can consistently get past the first phase, or getting past a certain threshold. It is reaffirming yourself that if you keep at it, you can do it. Has it ever happened to you that you fight a boss and there's just a tiny sliver of health left, but you die before dealing the finishing blow? Sure, it sucks to lose so close to the finish line, but at the same time, that proves you can do it, so it can be a motivator to keep trying. And remember, that trial and error doesn't mean that you suck. It's an intended part of the gaming experience in most games out there. You will fail time and time again until you won't. But what to do if you've been at a certain challenge for many hours, days even, and you just can't get through? You feel like you're stuck at this point and it's just not fun anymore. In a case like this, you have a decent amount of options. Firstly, and if you can, go do something else in the game. If it's an open world game, just leave the area, go do some exploration, side missions, or whatever minigames the game may have. Games are full packages and experiencing more of them is how you get your money's worth out of them, so go do those other things. Try whatever else the game has. If not, then do something else. Put the controller down and go do something different. Gaming should not be your only hobby. So, I don't know, go play an instrument, jogging, take a walk, maybe cooking, call your mom, whatever else that can give you back that feeling of satisfaction you're not getting from the game. But if you refuse to do that and you're stuck up on doing this one thing, I suppose, try again. This is probably the worst option here because, like I said, frustration builds upon itself and you really should give yourself some time to cool off so you can actually enjoy the game. But I guess you can still try bashing your head against the wall endlessly if that makes you feel like you'll accomplish something. But at that point, if you're really just done and to the point that you just want to get this over with, improvement be damned, just look up a guide, dude. If at the end of the day you just want to beat the game and get it over because it's not fun anymore, then sure. I don't think there's anything morally reprehensible with using outside help if you really need it. I'll freely admit that I've used my fair share of guides when trying to 100% complete a game, or if I just want to get a specific upgrade, or maybe I just overlooked something because I'm dumb and I need somebody else to point it out. It happens to the best of us, and there really is no shame on seeking help when you need it. This all begs the question, why should I even bother with all this crap? I just want to sit down and have fun. After being in the bloody mines for 14 hours, last thing I want to do is use my brain. And sure, I get where you're coming from, so I'll meet you halfway there, Mr. Strawman. As weird as it sounds as a question, why should you even want to get good at video games? Well, let's put it simple, it's more fun to be skilled at what you do. It all depends on what you want to do, so if all you play is farming simulators and cozy games, I have no earthly idea why you're still watching, unless you really like me. But if your gaming habits mostly consist of games like those, then sure, you have no incentive to quote-unquote get better. But someone asking that question probably falls within the following category. You play whatever the hot new game is, and most of the time those AAA releases have tons of difficulty options that are straight up really easy since they're appealing to the widest market possible. But every now and then, the hot new game happens to be one that is challenging and with no easy mode, and you want to get into it to be part of the conversation, but you just can't, and then you get upset because you feel like other people are just better than you, and why couldn't the game devs just make this one boss easier, damn it? The reason you should work on getting better is because those types of game are made for people who seek those challenges. You learn the game doesn't accommodate itself to you, and learning to get into them is the very first step you need to take before you can enter this wider world. After all, having more experiences is a good thing, right? At the end of the day, I'm just trying to give out some advice that I wish somebody else gave to me when I was less experienced with all these video gaming things. It is one thing to give advice for that one game you're playing, and while that obviously helps, I really wanted to try giving a more universal advice on how you can up your skills a bit. I wanted to keep this video short, so I couldn't really go into a lot of detail, but I trust that you watching this will be smart enough to extrapolate to whatever challenges you're facing, and maybe show this to the newbiest person you know as a snarky way to let them know you think you're better than them. Okay, that was it from me, see ya! And another one goes. This one was surprisingly hard to make. I actually wrote this script 2 times because I first started with like a bit more comprehensive sort of list, but it just came out too dry for my liking. So then is when I gravitated and wanted to make it a bit more just general, and you know, I really enjoy when these things result in conversation. So yeah, hopefully you will tell me if I'm wrong or if you agree with what I say. Thank you.